Three, two, one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the It's the Pictures podcast. This is episode number 218. Today, we're going to talk about the legendary actress Meryl Streep. But before we get into our featured topic, I'm joined, as always, by my co-host Evan Crean. Hi, Evan.
Hey Max, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. Can't complain. I think. I'm excited about next week's episode. I know I'm getting ahead of the boat, but like the summer movies, and like it kind of feels like I just want to get out of winter and get into summer.
Yeah, I hear
Um,
that.
I'm kind of looking forward to that. Um, as far as like TV and movies go, I went back to the movie theaters, Evan.
Ooh.
I saw the Mario Brothers movie, which I talked about a little bit on the newsletter. That's the It's the Pictures newsletter. If audiences want to
Mm-hmm.
check that out.
Yep.
But yeah, it was nice going back to the movie theater. I'm excited about a few more upcoming releases, right ahead of us. And I'm actually going to be going to IFF Boston to see a few films.
Ooh, that's exciting.
So yeah, I'm excited for that as well. How about you? Have you been watching anything, doing fun things lately?
Trying to get outside and enjoy the weather when it's nice. Had a bubble fight a couple days ago. Got some bubble guns and had some bubble fights with the little one, and that was fun. And yeah, just seeing family and just saw my grandparents this past weekend. It was good. It was good to get out of the house and see some family and soak in some nice weather.
Yeah, it was funny when. So I guess I saw like a teaser for when Jack Black was going to be appearing on SNL recently because he was promoting the Mario Brothers movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it was right before Easter and Passover, and it's like he was like these are like the most like painful or devastating holidays. I'm like, yeah, there's some truth to that. It's like one is about like plagues and killing of the firstborn, and one is about like, just killing a man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So definitely the most metal of all holidays is Passover and Easter time of year.
Yeah, yeah. We had our annual seder this year. We were sad you guys weren't there to join us this year, but we had a full house and that was a lot of fun. And did you guys do anything for
Yeah, we had the Easter Bunny visit and did a whole bunch of hunts and everything. And my daughter's grandparents were like, "Yeah, we left out like lots of money in the eggs, so that way we figured she'd get it and spend it on something worthwhile." And come to find out today, she kind of spent the money on a turtle puppet. And I'm like, I'm sure they'd love to know that that's what she spent her Easter money on.
Hey, if it's making her happy, she's happy with the puppet.
Yeah, but yeah. Easter was fine, and another holiday gone by. Too much candy, right? I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
if there's one thing about these holidays, it's like I feel that's what keeps the candy business going. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have so much of it, and you're like, you never get through it all, and you end up just like throwing it away.
Right. Yeah, or you just sit on it for months and you're just like picking at it until Halloween comes around and you just buy more. I feel like on the shelves, that's usually the indication of the shifting of the holidays, like the coloring of the packaging of candy. It's like, okay, now Christmas is over. We got pink and red packaging. Oh, Valentine's Day is next. Oh, we got Easter coming up.
Right.
Always the first to change over, I feel like, is the candy aisle.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's like here comes like another candy holiday, and you still have like Halloween stuff in your cupboard. Like I don't need Christmas candies, Valentine's candies, and Easter candies. I have candies already from Halloween.
Yeah, yeah, that and the Girl Scout cookies, right? When it's
Yes.
time to put all the orders in.
Yeah, too many Girl Scout cookies. I had lab work recently, Evan, and they said my glucose was up a little bit. And I'm like, it's because of all these Girl Scout cookies I've been eating.
That's right. Tis the season to be eating Girl Scout cookies,
Yeah, but enough about my sugar woes.
right?
Let's get into some recent news before we get into our featured discussion on the great actress Meryl Streep.
hmm
Um, a first bit of news I saw that kind of interested me, Evan, was news that there's going to be a TV adaptation of hit book series called Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's by
Hmm.
author Matt Dinniman, and I guess like it's going to be live action and over at Peacock, and that's I guess it's a big deal. I kind of became aware of Dungeon Crawler Carl about like maybe like a month or two ago, and I guess my knowledge of it came from people saying that it makes really great audiobook
Hmm.
because it's easy to follow, and the guy who is doing the narration has a lot of fun with it, and he changes his voice for all the different characters, and it's just like a really great reading of the book. And for those who are unfamiliar with Dungeon Crawler Carl, it's considered like a lit RPG book, which in and of itself is like a literary art role-playing book where
Hmm.
this guy, Carl, who is outside one day and the world goes to hell, and all of a sudden there's this dungeon coming out of the ground that he has to go into. And he's joined by his ex-girlfriend's cat, and they have to go through like increasingly more difficult floors of the dungeon and fight enemies, and you have all the different like stats that you would have from an RPG that he has to like get. And but it's like really goofy to the extreme.
Is he looking to improve his charisma?
Yes, yeah. And so I guess like the eighth book in the series is coming out soon. And so like it's pretty popular. And when I asked some people that I knew, like my sister-in-law, whether or not she'd heard of it, she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm like deep into like the fourth book." I was like, "Okay, great."
Yeah, this was not a book on my radar, nor was it I didn't even know it was a series.
Yeah, according to Variety, where I got this news from, it says that there's already been 7 books, with the eighth book set to be released on May 12th, and that
Wow.
the author plans to release 10 books overall. But we'll ultimately see what happens with the TV show. I guess it's pretty popular if it's getting all these books, and we'll see if it can be done justice. I mean, I think some of the concerns are raised in the article by Variety. People thought like maybe it'd be better suited to an animated series, given like, some of the creatures that Carl has to fight, and maybe
Hmm.
a budget that would have to like match that. And I guess the author of the book is pretty confident that it can be done well in live action. So
Hmm. Yeah, I could see this, but I could see that rationale that maybe it would work better as an animation series versus live action. But either way, it sounds like it could be fun.
are you interested in like RPG type stories at all?
Uh, I don't know that I'd seek them out, but I'd certainly like RPGs. So yeah, this sounds fun to me. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I say that because like this is like I don't want to say it's a new trend, but it's over like maybe the last decade or so. This idea of like let's make novels out of like Dungeons and Dragons adventures. I mean, look at Stranger Things. That's probably the biggest example of like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, this was a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. But you have other things like Critical Role, the YouTube series. I guess Felicia Day is on, and other celebrities. So
Hmm.
if you're into that, I recommend Crawler Carl. I'm about halfway through the first book, listening to the audio myself and enjoying it quite a bit. I've already talked about it a little bit, Evan, but the Super Mario Galaxy movie is doing great at the box office. I think I used the word super here.
Yeah.
I guess that shouldn't be a surprise.
No, the other one crushed it at the box office too.
For my part, I did end up going. The whole family went, so we sat through the movie, and we generally had pretty good thoughts at the end of it. I wrote in my write-up about it that my daughter said that she wanted to be Rosalina for Halloween, and that was maybe worth sitting through the whole movie.
Yeah, if you already got a Halloween costume idea this early in the year, that's great. How did you feel about it in comparison to the first one?
I actually I thought the first one was kind of like rainbow vomit, and why this one doesn't
Hmm.
fully escape that, I don't know, I enjoyed myself more. What can I say? I did. Do I think it's a better movie than the first one? No. I don't know, at the end of the movie I just felt like all the nostalgia bits were made for me. and enough.
Fair enough.
Like Evan, like one of the climactic fights in this movie just is like scene for scene a fight from the end of a castle at in Super Mario Brothers 1.
Huh. That's funny.
So there's like the more you know about Mario and the video games, the more you probably get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know anything, yeah, won't be great.
With the name Super Mario Galaxy, how much of it borrows from the actual Super Mario Galaxy game?
Well, they use the concept of like flying around from to the different planets, and Rosalina is a major character this time around.
Mm-hmm.
She's voiced by Brie Larson. So I guess like that way, it's really like using that Super Mario Galaxy idea, but
Mm-hmm.
they just throw everything they can think of at this movie. I guess 10 minutes into it, Yoshi shows up, and it's like Yoshi really has like no reason to be there other than like Yoshi's a cool character.
Right. Yeah,
And like this,
doesn't Donald Glover do the voice of Yoshi?
yeah, and like so in the first one, they had Donkey Kong as like the auxiliary character, and in this one, they bring up like Fox McCloud, like maybe halfway through the movie.
From Star Fox?
Yeah,
Okay. That was not what I was expecting you to say. I
yeah,
almost did a spit take with my water, actually.
and he's voiced by what's his name, the Glenn guy from I kind of enjoy from Twisters.
Glenn Powell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. I feel like I was talking with Shawnee the other day about Glenn Powell. It's like she's like, I can't stand that guy, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I like him enough, but I feel like he's definitely overhyped in terms of the amount that people seem to generally love him versus like level of talent.
Well, he does a fine Star Fox.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then finally, we used to do like a big episode here on It's the Pictures about the Cannes Film Festival. And I don't know, over the years it got a little tired because we were talking about movies that, John and I at the time couldn't see for months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like we were going to Cannes, so it didn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
This year, they announced the first films coming to the festival, and not a lot of American names, not a lot of big splashy blockbusters. Like maybe some people thought like Spielberg's Disclosure Day would have possibly premiered at Cannes.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening. But you got a lot of auteurs, if you will, like Asghar Farhadi, Pedro
Mm-hmm.
Almodovar.
Yep. Did I see Coriata or someone else potentially?
Yep, Corietta's in there. Laszlo Nemes, who did Son of Saul a few years ago, and in my opinion, hasn't done another good movie since then.
Oops.
Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting stuff. Some of the I saw that also included in like the Uncertain Regard, which is not like the main lineup, but in a different like lineup. Jane Schoenberg is having her Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma play there.
Cool.
And I guess like another out of competition film that looked interesting was Her Private Hell, which is the new film by Nicholas Winding Refn, another guy who I really liked Drive, but then I don't think I've liked any of his other movies or bothered with them at all. So
Yeah, I was going to say I don't even know that I liked Drive at the time when I saw it, but I feel like I've probably seen at least one of his other movies since then.
I'm gonna go out a limb here, Evan, and say that whatever movie that Neon is distributing is probably going to win the Palme d'Or.
Yeah.
They've won or bought the Palme d'Or winner for the last 6 years now. So it seems like that's what they like to do.
Yeah, that seems like a bit of a trend, perhaps.
All right. But was there anything that I know that I probably sprung that on you, the Cannes Film Festival lineup? Is there like any directors who you really like in there that you were like, I'd want to see their next film or
I mean, not
what?
especially, but I mean, like Asghar Farhadi, like he's an excellent director, so I mean, definitely interested. Almodovar, like sometimes hit or miss with me. It could be interesting. Corrieta, I feel like all the people that I'm seeing in here, I'm like liked some things they've done, other things I haven't liked. So it's like rolling the dice on like any one of those particular directors.
Yeah, like I'm trying to look up the Powell Pawlowski. Yeah, and he directed Cold War, which I kind of liked, and Ida, which I liked. So, okay. So, I like two of his movies.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I feel like I often end up seeing whatever the stuff that's out of can until like late in the year when it's like officially award season.
Yeah, yeah, that tracks because I think I don't normally see like the Cannes Film Festival winner until I go to Toronto in September if I go.
Yeah,
So,
makes sense.
all right. So let's go to our featured topic, which we're talking about Meryl Streep this week in honor of her upcoming sequel, The Devil Wears Prada 2. Looking at Meryl Streep's filmography, she doesn't do sequels that often.
Yeah, it's true.
Even when she was asked, I imagine to do Mamma Mia 2, which would have been like the sequel to her biggest smash ever. She turned that down because why I don't know too much about Mamma Mia history. I do know that she is not alive in Mamma Mia 2.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, she doesn't do very many sequels.
yeah, I think I can respect that. But yeah, my curiosity is certainly piqued that she decided to do a Devil Wears Prada too.
Yeah, according to her film history, Mamma
hmm
Mia is easily her highest grossing film ever. But then Devil Wears Prada was her second biggest hit.
Yeah, it's complicated. I'm surprised to see that up there on this list, Max. I knew that was kind of like a sleeper hit kind of movie, but I didn't realize it was that popular.
Yeah, and Into the Woods had that Disney power behind it.
Right. Yeah, musicals, man. They make money, I guess.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
and not as much as some musicals would hope. I mean, like I think Wicked made plenty of money though.
I'm sure that it did. I'm sure it made money hand over fist.
Um, But yeah, regardless of how much money her movies have made at the box office over the years, Meryl Streep holds the record for the most Academy Award nominations of any actor in history. And as of 2026, she has received a total of 21 film nominations.
That's a lot. That's a lot of nominations.
Right, and like you see it, and it's not just like a couple of let's hand her like a lot of Best Supporting Actress nominations
hmm
because that's only four. The majority of her nominations come from Best Actress category where she's been nominated 7.
Yeah, one twice, one once in Best Supporting. I see.
I think as trivia goes for the Oscars, I think one of the interesting trivia notes is that I think Frances McDormand has the most Oscars as an actress because she also produced Nomadland. So she got
Okay.
not only did she win the Oscar for like actress, but then she also got an Oscar when it won Best Picture.
Okay. All right, Frances McDormand. All right, interesting. But yeah, which ones did she win for, Max? Did Meryl Streep win for?
She's taken the Oscar home 3 times. Best Supporting Actress for Kramer versus Kramer, which, having seen that movie, yes, that is definitely a supporting actress role. And you know, it's funny, Evan. So many times these days, there's like a fight with people like, oh, is that really supporting or is it really like lead? But like, yeah, I think that she's definitely makes a big impression for her time in Kramer versus Kramer. That's the divorce movie where I guess like this idea like she abandons her child
hmm
and Dustin Hoffman is like has to become like dad and like take over of like all the responsibilities. It's like a serious version of Big Daddy that came out years before Big Daddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that movie is heavy.
Yeah, it is. It's basically it's a big discussion about like I guess like how when there's a divorce, like women would always get the rights to the child because they're the maternal figure, and so there's this big argument in the movie about like whether or not he should get rights to their child.
hmm
And then in '83, she won Best Actress for Sophie's Choice, which is a movie that Evan says is at least referenced often,
Right.
but I
Yeah,
have
there's
not.
a lot of people who joke like, "Oh, it's a real Sophie's Choice." I wonder if it was a Sophie's Choice for them to choose her for Sophie's Choice.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I was having a discussion with Shannon before, like, this episode, talking about Sophie's Choice. And, like, she thought, like, since it was used or how she's seen it, like, she thought it was like an abortion movie. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think it is. And, like, come to find out, it's like Sophie's Choice is like, I guess she's at a concentration camp and she has to choose one of her two children to save. And,
Mm,
like, if she doesn't choose, they'll just kill them both. So she has to pick like one child over the other. And I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, I get where the drama is in that then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What a gut punch idea for a movie.
Yeah. And then 2012, she won Best Actress for The Iron Lady, which I have also not seen, but I've heard that the movie's a little bit of a bore to watch, but that she's
Mm-hmm.
pretty great in it.
Yeah, I've also heard that movie's a bore.
But yeah, I guess like her way back in 1979 is when she got her first nomination for Best Supporting Actress on The Deer Hunter. That's where she would meet her longtime partner. Well, I guess not long time. He unfortunately died pretty young, but um, he was he played Fredo in Godfather.
Hmm.
What was his name? It's escaping me, but I definitely need to bring it up here. John Cazale.
Mm-hmm.
John wasn't in very many features. The ones that he was in, like The Conversation, The Deer
Mm-hmm.
Hunter,
Yeah,
Dog Day
Dog Day
Afternoon.
Afternoon. Yep. Strong batting average for, so short a career.
Right. Yeah, but he passed away very young. I don't think there's not been a lot of people attached romantically to Meryl Streep over the years until maybe more recently, where I guess like Martin Short was mentioned to be dating her because I guess since they were shooting together on Murders in the Building, they had a nice relationship together. I don't know where that is now. That's not for us. That's for People Magazine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Meryl Streep also has a couple of daughters who are, actresses in their own right and pop up in things, but they don't have the same last name, so it's like sometimes you can like Mamie Gummer. It's like, oh, okay, that wait a minute, she looks just like Meryl Streep, but wait a minute, okay, yeah, that's her. That's one of her daughters.
Yeah, so and then she's been in a great deal of movies over the years. Not to mention like some of the ones that we already did where we were big box office hits or you know prestigious roles, but she's certainly shown up in a lot of different movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think like I told Evan before the show that former podcast host and I, John Gilpatrick, he would tell me that like Julie and Julia was a very seminal movie for him because it like got him interested in journalism. And I'm looking at some of the other movies that on her letterbox that I really like, and I think Fantastic Mr. Fox is just great. That movie, Postcards from the Edge, is really good.
Never seen that one.
Yeah, it's a Mike Nichols movie, and it's like,
Do you like Mike Nichols?
yeah, I guess it's like imagine if, I think if I remember correctly, it was like Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher's relationship, but
Hmm.
like Meryl Streep is playing like Carrie Fisher,
Gotcha.
and Shirley MacLaine is playing Debbie Reynolds.
Okay.
So, and that perspective, it's really interesting. But Evan and I decided to watch a few movies that maybe we hadn't seen before of
Mm-hmm.
Meryl Streep's or just ones that we thought were timely. That The Devil Wears Prada 2 is coming out.
Right.
Um, Evan, do you want to start with your watch of Devil Wears Prada?
Yeah, sure. Shame to say it took me this long to finally see it, but no better time, right? Talking about Meryl Streep and the sequel coming out. And yeah, I know this is such an iconic role for her playing, this fashion icon, basically just Anna Wintour, right? She's playing Anna Wintour. And yeah, I think I was surprised by, I know Meryl Streep's a very strong actress, but I think I was really surprised by the fact that in many ways her portrayal of this role is so understated. I feel like I'm used to hearing or seeing about this movie and it's like she's just like, fashion titan and she's this demanding horrible boss. And yes, she absolutely is. But I feel like I was thinking that she would be like the really big personality, and I feel like she actually impressed me by being so like restrained in her being a terrible boss kind of a way, in the way that she so often throughout the movie says so much more with what she doesn't say than what she actually does say to Anne Hathaway's character. And I respect that a lot. And I think she brings a lot of vulnerability too in that scene where she's kind of like sitting there without her makeup on, talking to Anne Hathaway's character about like, her divorce and just the frustration of like trying to be a woman who excels in her career, but then everyone's still talking about like who's she dating, who's she married to. Look, her marriage is falling apart. Guess she's just a terrible person that only cares about work. And yeah, she injected a lot of humanity into a character that you could, in another movie played by another actor, you could potentially write off as, oh, they're just a gigantic asshole.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this, but I remember like enjoying it for what it was at the
Mm,
time. I mean, if I remember too, it's like Emily Blunt was not Emily Blunt yet.
right. Yeah, this was like before people knew who she was, and she's great in this. I like Anne Hathaway. I love Stanley Tucci. I mean, I love him in almost everything he shows up in, but he plays such a fun character who's like really like sassy, and he knows his shit in the world of fashion, and he's supportive of Anne Hathaway's character, but he's also not like treating her with kid gloves either.
Right.
And I really liked their rapport throughout the movie. And I was joking with Shauna. I was like, I think we were only maybe like a half hour in the movie, and I was like, we've already been through like 3 or 4 montages already at this point. Which I know it's like, but it is an effective way to tell stuff about the character, like the whole montage of Meryl Streep just storming in and throwing her bag and her jacket on Anne Hathaway's desk, and just seeing that play out so many times in a row does actually tell you a lot about the character and how daunting it must be to be working for this woman.
I'm seeing like a lot of the reviews on top of Letterbox say like they lost their mind at how many times people call Anne Hathaway fat in this movie. I don't know if that was a thing for you when watching this.
Yeah, it was mind boggling with it. Well, because they're like, she's like, I'm a size 4. Stanley Tucci's like, no, no, you're not gonna fit into anything in here, sweetie. Like, what? Look, I know models are like crazy skinny, but that was just blowing my mind. And yeah, when people call her fat or frumpy or whatever it is that they're, because it's like, okay, I know that's part of the deal. I mean, it's like when Anne Hathaway's in Princess Diaries, right? And they give her like a unibrow and like frizzy hair or whatever. It's like, oh, we got to have something to start with to make over. It's like, Anne Hathaway is a very naturally beautiful person. So like, yeah, of course they gotta have some room to move on this. So they're, dress her in like loose fitting shirts and sweaters and stuff to make her look, you know, frumpy or dowdy.
Yeah, and like I have a problem with that in another romantic comedy, which is like Love Actually. There's a bunch of stories, right? But there's one of like Hugh
Mm-hmm.
Grant and like the woman he's seeing, and like nonstop the movie calls that woman fat, and I'm like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I think kind of one of the fun things is like knowing that Adrian Grenier is not in the new one, and he did that like Starbucks ad that whatever that kind of playfully makes a jab at the fact that he's not in the new Devil Wears Prada movie. But like I had read that people had critiques of his character not being supportive enough of Anne Hathaway's character, and I totally see it. In a way that I feel like when you watch it through the lens of when it came out, which was like 2005, right?
Hmm.
We were used to seeing so many like husbands, boyfriends, whatever, who were like this, who are like, honey, what are you doing in this job that's this high powered job? You could just quit and not have all this pressure on yourself. Like, why would you do this? Like, why would you have career aspirations? Or why would you like do something that could potentially be a giant springboard when you could just not do that? Oh
Hmm.
God, you just care about dresses and materialism and stuff like that. And watching it through a modern lens, you're just like, yeah, this guy's a dick. He's not supportive of her at all. Like, and he's like accusing her of being, this materialistic, like vapid jerk, when it's like, no, she just really got interested in the work. She was judgmental about it, and then she got into it and realized that she liked it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed it when I saw it, and I'd like to watch it again before the new one comes out. And luckily, we're recording this episode, pretty early before Devil Wears Prada 2 comes out, so there's time. I was looking up who actually directed this movie, Evan, and I wasn't familiar with the director. His name's like David Frankel,
Mm-hmm.
and he was asked to return. He's the director of Devil Wears Prada 2,
Okay.
but since then, his work, if you will, includes movies such as Collateral Beauty, Marley and Me,
Boy.
Jerry and Marge Go Large, and The Big Year.
Ay ay ay.
So
What a turn after this.
Mr. Frankel has not had the best career after Devil Wears Prada, and maybe he's hoping Devil Wears Prada 2 will give him a few more gigs.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, it's a fun movie, The Devil Wears Prada, so maybe he'll do a good job again returning to these characters.
So, as for me, Evan, when we were talking about doing a Meryl Streep episode, I immediately went like, which ones are some of the hitters that I haven't seen before? And I
Mm-hmm.
said to myself, maybe I'll watch those. And then I was like, well, there's a reason why I haven't watched Sophie's Choice outside of it being a drama. It's also very long. And I was like, I don't want to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
But for a while now, I have been really interested in watching Albert Brooks Defending Your
Mm-hmm.
Life.
Yeah.
It has this like really great premise where Albert Brooks is like this everyman office guy, and one day he's getting a new car and he playing with his CDs in his car, and all of a sudden he gets hit by a bus, and he wakes up and he's in the afterlife. But different than movies like Powell and Pressburger's A Matter of Life and Death, or Corietta's Afterlife, or even 9 Days, which came out more recently, which I loved.
Hmm.
This one, Brooks' character is in this new place called like Judgment City. And the idea is you go here for like, 5, 6 days, whatever days are in Judgment City, and you are asked to review certain parts of your life. And
To defend them, right? To
yes, yes,
defend your life.
yes. And the idea is if you are deemed to be, still needing work in the real world, then you'll just be like reincarnated.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have successfully defended yourself and proved that you're of a higher consciousness, because I guess like everyone, like one of the running gags in Judgment City, and like I guess Brooks' lawyer is played by Rip Torn. He's like, how much of a brain power do you think you use? And Albert Brooks is like, I don't know, 15%. And he's like, 3%. He's like, how much brain power do you think I use? He's like, I don't know. He's like, 50%. And he's like, whoa. And so like they're like, oh yeah, do you think you're ready to like expand your mind? But there's a lot of great jokes, and like
Mm-hmm.
Brooks' humor from the films that I've seen of his, like Lost in America and Mother, is kind of like he looks at himself through like a self-deprecating lens, and
Yeah.
Brooks in this movie is definitely like he just all the time thinks he's screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's really funny. It's a good premise for sure. It's like I actually saw it a while ago, and then when you said watching it for the Meryl Streep, I was like, oh yeah, Meryl Streep. That's right. How did I forget that it was a Meryl Streep movie? That could be part of our like movies we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, and that was the thing is like I was like Meryl Streep opposite Albert Brooks. It seems like such a weird pairing.
Yeah, for sure.
But then when they get up together in the film, and they have great chemistry together, and Streep is such a talented actress that she she lights up every scene that she's in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember a ton about her character since it's been a while since I've seen this.
Yeah, so one of the things that they hide like later in the movie, because like I guess like the characters always discuss about like how they died and how they got there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, hers was like pretty goofy where she like trips on something and like smashes her head and then like drowns in a pool, and like that's how she got there. She's like, because like most people who are there are very old, right? Like they've lived their life, and that's why they're there, and like they get surprised when they see young people.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, it has a lot of great gags in it, and like I guess Brooks had another film, his first film, that's called like Real Life or something, also on the Criterion line, and that one kind of looks at like examining families and using technology, and I find like that was another thing that Brooks was really interested in his humor. I actually started admiring more of Brooks' work and actually being more interested in it after I saw a documentary on Brooks' life, which was completed by Rob Reiner when he was still alive, and the two of them like kind of like
Mm.
just sit down and have a conversation and go through Brooks' career, and it's a pretty fun documentary. And I guess that's why like when I saw, like, speaking about Drive, Nicholas Riding Refn, Albert Brooks was in that movie and he was playing so against type. He's,
Right.
he's, he's playing like a heavy villain in that, and he's always been known. I guess not I didn't know him for it, but he's been known for like this, being this really big comedy guy, and Marlin and Finding Nemo.
Right. Who could forget?
Dory could.
Yes, that's true.
But yeah, Meryl Streep, excellent in Defending Your Life. I was trying to like also think of like other Meryl Streep movies that I just really admire, and like outside of like Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is just really great. Typically, I enjoy her in anything she's in. She really goes the extra mile. I don't why maybe like a few of those nominations at the Oscars might have been just like back padding or like wanting her to be there. Do you remember that? Like in like the '90s, it felt like they wanted Jack and Meryl always there, because like they
Yeah.
like they like brought the proceedings to a higher level. Jack Nicholson, of course, and like when they're not there, it feels like there's something missing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she's a strong batting average. It's like she's been nominated so many times. It makes sense. She's a very strong actor. Kind of funny she hasn't won more often than she
Mm.
has. It's like she hasn't won an Oscar in a like like almost 15 years, right? Almost 2012. It's like crazy to me that been that long since her last like win.
Yeah, I guess one movie that I really like, which Shannon doesn't like romance movies where the spouses cheat on each other, so
Mm,
she's like she doesn't find it romantic. But there's this movie Bridges Over Madison County. She's really excellent in it, and it's one of those ideas where like, oh, her husband's like away for the weekend, and Clint Eastwood comes into her life
mm-hmm.
or something, and she gets swept away in a romance with him, and that's a really good movie.
Yeah, that's one I haven't seen, but yeah, now that you're describing, I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard of that one.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the most recent one that I saw her in was probably Don't Look Up. I think that was the last like movie with Meryl Streep I remember seeing, but I know The Post was at the bottom of her top box office list, and I thought she was really great in that. And I think I remember her being great in Don't Look Up. I just feel like I had so many problems with the rest of the movie that I don't think it was a Meryl Streep problem.
Yeah, that movie that was a strange movie. It's like very star-studded piece, but it's just like very odd too.
Yeah.
But you mentioned The Post. I really like that movie too. It's like for a long time I was like, oh, this is like one of those really great journalism movies.
Yeah, it's an excellent journalism movie. It feels like a great movie that belongs in the great journalism movies up there with like, All the President's Men and Spotlight and other films of its ilk.
And so you watched one other film too that you hadn't seen before of her.
Yeah, I did a very, very interesting double feature last night. After finishing Devil Wears Prada, I was like, I've wanted to see the movie Silkwood for a very long time. I've heard it recommended. It's been recommended. It's not really been streaming many places. It's been kind of hard to find, which is why I haven't seen it. But then I think it popped up on Just Watch, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, this is on Hoopla. I can watch this for free. Great. I'm going to sit down and
Oh.
watch this. And I think it's directed by Mike Nichols. It's co-written by Nora Ephron. It's got Meryl Streep, Kurt Russell, Cher, Craig T. Nelson. Pretty awesome. Fred Ward, Ron Silver. Like really great cast.
I'm waiting for
And
the other
so
shoe to drop.
No, I mean, and it's based on a true story, like a compelling true story of a woman who worked at like a plutonium processing plant and was exposed to deadly amounts of radiation and basically spends the rest of her life trying to like fight for, for the company to like take responsibility for that and to take responsibility for its workers, for not protecting its workers. And yeah, I mean, she's this is like a lead performance. Some of the others we talked about has been more supporting. This is like truly on her, and I think she's really excellent as this kind of like rough and tumble kind of working class woman who she's like working at the plant, and everyone's like pulling like double shifts, and her kids aren't like living with her, they're living with her ex-husband, and she can only see them once in a while. There's like a part in the beginning of the movie where she like desperately wants to see them for the weekend, so she finally gets somebody to cover, and then she like gets all the way there, and then he's like, oh yeah, I already have plans with them, so like you can like take him out to lunch or whatever, but you can't like spend the whole weekend with him. And that's like devastating news for her. But yeah, she's great. Her, Kurt Russell, and Cher are like living together, and they're like roommates, and she's in a relationship with Kurt Russell's character. Yeah, it is a really interesting story. I really like ones that are about like corporate corruption and like people trying to take on, big business and whatnot. Yeah, I think
Is it very
my
Aaron Brockovich?
it is it feels kind of Aaron Brockovich for sure. She's still like working at the company and like trying to lead like union efforts. And I think my problem is it's just it's long and it's slow. Like this like very well acted. The story I think is compelling, but it is like slow, and I feel like it's like a 2 hour plus movie, and I feel like we don't get to like the really like interesting like meat of the story until the last like 30 minutes. Like
Boy.
yeah. So I think that's like my critique of it is that it takes too long to get to like the really compelling parts, which is like her starting to get really sick and, fighting, for workers' rights. Oh, I also forgot David Strathairn is one of the other people working on the line with her. There's so many great people in this movie, so many great like actors and character actors. Like you watch this and you'll be like, oh man, I recognize so many people in here. But yeah, Emmett Walsh is in this. He plays one of the people working for the company. It's just like it's so many people. But yeah, I think Meryl Streep is so good, and I was bummed out that it took so long to get to the like really good stuff. I feel like I was like watching this movie like waiting for it to start, and then it finally got to like the meat in the very last part.
I hear you about you did a very good job of selling me on watching this movie. So
Yeah, I mean it's definitely interesting for sure. I mean, the fact that it's based on a true story, and the fact that the woman that it's about, Karen Silkwood, died under mysterious circumstances. The movie makes it seem like she was bumped off by like the company or people from the company to like keep her quiet, which is like if that's what happened in real life, yikes.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean Mike Nichols, Nora Ephron, that's already like a good starting combo there, and then like all these other people, it's like that damn.
Yeah, I mean even as a curio, I mean I'd also be just like, yeah, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I'd be curious if you have the same issue with it, if you feel like it's too slow, or if you're satisfied by enough of the drama and some of the other stuff to kind of keep your interest sustained.
All
I'm so
right.
glad I saw it.
So that's a little bit of our background on Meryl Streep. Of course, she has been in a number of excellent movies and is widely considered one of the best actresses of our time.
Mm-hmm.
One of her many films that you haven't seen yet, chances are, even if the film is slow, she's going to be excellent in it.
Yeah.
So check some of those older films out. Before we get to our what we've been watching section and talk about a little bit of some other movies we've been viewing lately, we're going to pause for station identification. You've been listening to the It's the Pictures podcast. You can email us at itsthepictures@gmail.com. You can follow us over at Letterboxd, on Blue Sky, It's the Pick Pod, or It's the Pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Send us a message, let us know what you think about the show, what your favorite Meryl Streep movie is. If you are interested in following me online, you can follow my Letterboxd. It's under MH Covill, or you can follow me on Blue Sky, search for me Max Covill, or maxcovill.com there. Of course, our It's the Pictures account is also on Blue Sky. Check that out. Evan, where can I find you these days?
Oh, let's see. So you can find me every week over at Spoiler Piece Theater, the weekly film podcast where we're reviewing new releases. You can also find me on social media. I'm going to be honest, folks. I'm not that active right now on my social media, but you can find me. I probably spend the most time on Letterboxd, so if you want to follow me there, it's at Real Recon. That's real as in film real. And then I also have my website, which is just evancrean.com, and you can find my film reviews there. My film review blog is there, and I'm trying to consolidate all of my writing into one easy place where people can find me. So evancrean.com, pretty easy place to go to.
All right, awesome. Okay, so you just talked about Silkwood, so I guess I will take over for a little bit, and I will start with what I've been watching. Yeah, the main thing I was watching is Monty Python's Life of Brian.
Ooh.
And this was a blind spot for me for a number of reasons. I think the biggest of which is that I like Flying Circus quite a bit. Like a lot of the skits that I've seen over the years, and big fan of Holy Grail. I've seen it a number of times, and I've seen Spam-A-Lot live on Broadway, well, off Broadway, if you will, a few times. And yeah, I've always been a big Monty Python fan, so I was wondering why this is something that I hadn't seen. And I think it becomes quickly apparent why I hadn't seen it. It's very much like a knock against historical dramas, mainly your Ben-Hur's.
Your biblical epics, right?
Yeah, where the idea is right before the credits even start that the wise men who are going to visit Jesus sort of get stuck at the wrong place, and they visit this lady, and they say, "What's their baby's name?" And she's like, "Brian." And they're like, "Oh, Brian, we'll bestow you with gifts." The lady is like, "Yeah, sure." And then they leave, and she's like, "Oh, I like these gifts." And then they come back and they take the gifts out, and they're like, "We got the wrong house."
Yeah, it's pretty silly, I don't know, parody of these biblical movies from what I remember.
Yeah, and I guess Brian goes on and has a life, and he falls in with different people who are trying to get the Romans out of town, and there's this big joke scene where they're talking about people in Rome, and it gets a chuckle that one of the characters' names is Biggest Dickus. And they're like no laughing or you'll be executed, and they're trying not to laugh about Biggest Dickus, and I'm like, this is potty humor, but it's hilarious. I'm like,
yeah, it is. It's silly stuff. Or there's isn't there? There's the one group that's called the People's Front of Judea, and the other group's the Judean People's Front. They're arguing back and forth.
Yes, they're like, we're not that other group.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah, and then it gets to a point where I guess Brian gets in a situation where they think he's the Messiah, and they start chasing him down, and comes to the end scene, which I guess was controversial at the time, and I guess it can still be seen as controversial, where he's been put on the crucifix, and there's other people, just all bunch of people hanging out on crucifixes all around, and this guy's you gotta look on the bright side of life, and then the famous always look on the bright side of life song comes on, and they all start singing while they're on crucifixes.
Yeah.
This is wild.
Did you like it? Did you like the movie, or you were like, no, this is just not good?
No, I will tell you, the first time I saw Holy Grail, I thought it was bad. I did not like it. And it took a rewatch or two to be oh, this was supposed to be dumb, and they're not supposed to get the Grail. This is it's okay that it's like this. And I think once I can notice the rhythms and what Life of Brian is going for, I can appreciate it a lot more
Yeah.
than my first watch. But yeah, there's a lot of gags in it that I did find very funny, even on a first watch.
Mhm. Yeah, I think if I think about the Monty Python movies, I think my favorite's honestly Meaning of Life. I think that's my favorite Monty Python, but I also really like Holy Grail. And this is definitely like below that. Life of Brian definitely below.
But one of the things I thought was really interesting, Evan, was when I was watching it and like the executive producers came on, like
Mhm.
George Harrison from the Beatles
Yeah.
is the executive producer of this movie. And I'm like, what was he like really good friends with like Monty Python or like
I mean, they're British, right? They could have
yeah,
been pals.
right, right. But he's like, all right, I'm gonna put up money for this like biblical epic spoof. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Maybe when Apple does like its four Beatles movies, they'll talk about George Harrison's life as a movie producer later.
Yeah, hey, you never know.
But yeah, that was Life of Brian. I think like it's also coming out on Criterion 4K soon. I did not watch it that way. I kind of like let me watch it first to see if it's something that I need to own.
Mhm.
We'll see how I ultimately fall on that. Evan, you watch some things though.
Yeah, no, I mean, as always, I'm watching TV. I just caught the second season of Paradise, the Sterling K. Brown show that's on Hulu, and I really enjoyed it. I think even more than the first season. I feel like it just powered right through it. Like every time a new episode was available, I like almost immediately watched it. And before I knew it, like it was through all 8 episodes. And I think they did a good job of building on like the mythology of the first season and kind of bringing some characters together and throwing different characters in different situations and creating a whole very chaotic situation in the this underground bunker where everybody is
No, I'm glad
living.
you still like it because like from what I remember hearing about it, it was like a lot of the pilot was like predicated on this huge twist.
Yeah, it is. It does have this huge twist where it's like, oh, wait a minute. These people are living in an underground bunker.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but I thought they did some really interesting things in the second season and took the show much more in a sci-fi direction than the first season with kind of like I don't want to say it's not really the ending is it's not really a cliffhanger per se, but it sets up a number of new elements that would be a real game changer for the third season if they're going to do another season. So I think that will be interesting to see how that all plays out. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Shailene Woodley shows up in an episode and she is really freaking good. And yeah, I thought it was really well done. And of course, after watching it, I have the Phil Collins song "Another Day in Paradise." It's been stuck in my head like off and on for like a good week or two since I finished the current season. I got that, and I recently did a rewatch of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Dave and I were talking about that over on Spoiler Piece in our Patreon episode. But I had my Criterion of it that I had received as a gift that I hadn't cracked open yet, and I figured maybe about time to give that a watch. And yeah, I forgot how good it was as a movie. I forgot that it was like this really tight movie that tells a number of stories about these, high schoolers, and it doesn't feel like there's any like wasted minutes of movie. I think it's a really great cast. There's so many people who are unknowns at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but most notably Sean Penn, of course.
All
It's
right.
like no one knew who the hell this guy was, and he comes on the screen with this like really goofball stoner character. We've like never seen him play any type of part like this since then. And yeah, it's the music is incredible. Probably one of the best soundtracks of all time. It's such an iconic 80s film. There's so many memorable moments, so many hilarious lines. On this most recent viewing, I was noticing a lot of crossover with one of my other favorite 80s movies, Better Off Dead with John Cusack. There's like a number of like actors who are crossover and kind of things going on there. So that was all really cool. And it's just like I forgot how good this movie is and how well deserved it is in the Criterion collection. It's not just like a fun 80s movie, but like it's also really poignant and smart and just nails it on a lot of levels.
Yeah, I think I've only seen it once, and I could probably I could probably stand to rewatch it. It's another one of those like really great coming of age films. I think I kind of like in my mind need to separate it from Dazed and Confused. I know like they're very like different eras of when they were made, or at least like
Yeah. Well, aren't they both Cameron Crowe? Right. Cameron Crowe is his time going undercover at a high school. He wrote Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the book, and the movie is based on his experiences. Right. Is Dazed and Confused also Cameron Crowe? Am I mixing that with Almost Famous?
Richard Linklater.
That's right. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. It's totally like, wait a minute. No, I'm wrong.
Yeah, which Days of Confused also has like the standout what's it, McConaughey performance, who's like, oh, we didn't know who he was, and like he becomes huge. So
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's kind of funny because like the other, I mean, we have Jennifer Jason Leigh in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and she also like blew up and became ultra famous. But I feel like a lot of the other supporting people, it's like, I mean, Forrest Whitaker did. He went on to have like a really like big career, but somebody like Judge Reinhold was like big in the '80s, but like,
yeah, big
and
in the
you know,
80s.
bye bye. We didn't see much from him in other years. Yeah, it was. I was glad I revisited Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and I think you should give it another watch because there's a lot that I appreciated on this most recent viewing.
All right, awesome. And I think that will just about do it for our episode this time around, episode 218. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be doing our summer box office game. I think this is our third iteration with Evan and I
Yeah.
going at it. I think last year's was much closer than the first year.
Well, yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I think this year will be even closer. A lot of heavy hitter movies coming out this summer, whether it be Supergirl, Toy Story 5, Minions and Monsters,
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian and Grogu. Certainly, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of those movies will certainly be in conversation, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm excited.
All right. I hope everybody has enjoyed this episode, and we'll talk to you again soon.
See you next time.